Now, on this video, I'm going to try to show how I use a product called Flitz. That's a 6,000 grit metal polish, and what you need to do to prep in different metals like aluminum before you actually polish if you want to get a mirror-like, chrome-like finish. I'm going to try to show using a buffing ball, the Flitz orange buffing ball, and some of the safety things you can do to avoid damaging things. And then I'm going to, at the end of the video, I'm going to go out to the garage and take my GS 1100 Suzuki and polish some of the side cases on the engine. And it's a very convenient tool, this orange buffing ball. And I'm not sure right now that I've ever used a product or a system that's been easier for polishing metal. So if you're brand new and never polished anything before, or if you have a motorcycle, in this case, a side cover of a motorcycle you'd like to polish, or actually anything made of metal. Now, we have a separate video about polishing paint. In fact, we have quite a few of them. This one is just going to concern itself with polishing metal, specifically aluminum, and polishing over anodized surfaces. And then at the very end, when my wife knew I was making this video, she ran down with some of her silverware collection, and we gave that a shot, and believe it or not, it worked out way better than I ever thought it would. There's some good information on this video if you're new to polishing. I want to keep this buffing ball. The only thing that'll ever touch this ball will be Flitz product. I will not contaminate this with other products, of which I have several in the shop. Now, it's a rewashable item. It has a hex shaft, and the idea of this is that it air cools so you don't tend to burn things. In other words, when you get to the edge of a surface you're buffing and you go out onto some rubber, you don't burn the rubber or the parts that you don't want to buff. So this, again, I had one of, not this brand, I won't mention any other brands, we're not having a comparison, but I had another brand that was made out of kind of a foam thing that worked pretty well, but did not last, well, didn't last long at all. I don't even have it anymore. So the first thing I did, I read the directions, and pretty much you're supposed to be, there's different directions for doing different things. I'm going to just be involved with the parts that I use for motorcycling for now, but somewhere in the future we'll definitely give this a try. Now, keep in mind, one of the things, this product has no acid in it, so it's not going to be good for certain applications. And it supposedly has beeswax in it, so it protects for 6 months. Once you polish something, you get 6 months of protection. So to do the first test, and what I wanted to do, I want to keep this as simple and practical and honest as possible. This is just an ordinary piece of aluminum. I'm going to mask off half of it with tape. And now I'm going to do exactly what the directions say. It's got a lot of scratches in it. And I don't know, because this is a very fine polish, it's not really made to do what buffing compound is made to do. But let's give it a try. They say to put the polish on first, so let's do exactly what they say. Rub the polish in. Again, that old thing about reading the directions and following the directions. Yeah. But I just want to make the simple test first. And they say don't let it dry. I'm not even rubbing it with a microfiber. I'm rubbing it with a paper towel just to see if I can see a difference. Now, there's a totally different thing you do when you're buffing metal. I don't think this material is made to buff metal. It's made to put a high gloss shine on something that already has a smooth finish. And again, we're only dealing with I'm only going to deal in this video with metal. This will consume my video time for today. But I do want to see how this is going to work. And again, I'm always, by the end of this test, I'll be way more familiar with this product. Now, I'm not using any secret products, and I'm not doing camera cuts where it says, oh, come back to it after half an hour. Not really. This is going to be, I hope, a real world test. No camera cuts. Let's take this off and see if you can see the difference. It certainly does brighten it up. At least I can see it at my end. It does make it brighter, and that's only doing it by hand. So that's really step one. Now what's the advantage here is these would be parts that are already on a motorcycle. You can hand buff them by hand. You don't even need a machine. All you need is the polish and some paper towels. So that's step one. So the next part of the test, what I wanted to do, too much on there. I wanted to take, and I'm just trying to follow directions here before I get too creative. I wanted to try, and I can save that. What I can do is, I have a brand new, well, it's relatively new. Nothing in this shop is brand new. We use stuff. And I wanted to try polishing it with a microfiber and see if that works any better. Now, the reason is because when you're buffing soft paint, if you try using a paper towel, it can scratch. Microfibers tend, especially the nice big fluffy ones, and you can see how much material is coming off. Well, what that tells you is you're doing some mechanical work here. You're taking material off. So in essence, it's buffing it, but it's buffing it at a very slow rate. You're not taking big amounts of material off, which when we come to do the paint test, probably going to be to our advantage. But that does take some material. Now, definitely to me, my old eyeballs tell me, wow, that came out pretty good. Now let's just see. I want to put the tape. I got to keep taking the tape on and off so we don't lose our reference point as to where this was. In fact, we're using the same piece of tape. Now let's do it this way so you can see the difference. And I think that's a fair test. That's by doing it by hand with microfibers, but what we really want to know is how that buffing wheel is going to work. So what this is just an ordinary piece of, this is a scrap aluminum from a project that we have in the shop. And I wanted to be fair about it, because one of the things they show on the Flitz videos, they're polishing truck wheels and pontoon boats and everything. This is really rough aluminum, and I wanted to get some idea if you didn't even clean this. So I want to do it in steps. I'll put this way so I can work on it with the buffing wheel. I'm going to try to do this, and I don't know how successful this is going to be. Pretty much this is what they tell you to do. And I always like to go by the directions first. And I'm going to put the buffing ball in an electric drill and see how that works. So for this part of the test, ordinary Harbor Freight drill and the buffing pad, and this drill runs about 2,000 RPM, I believe. And the pad has never had anything on it except Flitz. Now, I know what'll happen. Sooner or later, let me get this. Sooner or later, we'll build up more polish on the ball, and this will go a little quicker, but in the beginning, it's not really going to go that quick. But, to be fair, this is a really rough piece of aluminum. I mean, this is pretty much what a pontoon boat, I love their video with the pontoon boat, by the way. And you can look at all the Flitz videos. You saw that in real life. No camera cuts, and I'm not doing this to make money from Flitz or anything. I'm just trying to show this is probably something that if I had more polish on the wheel, well, you know, that might buff up pretty cool very quickly. Now I'm surprised because this is 6,000 grit. 6,000 grit usually doesn't buff and cut like that. And boy, that has a nice smooth feel. So now I'm going to go on to what I call the next part of the test. Now for this part of the test, we're using 2500 sandpaper, soapy water, a couple of drops of dish soap. And when you want to polish something that has deep pits in it, it's very easy. You got to sand through it to where it's flat. Now I don't know if this is going to do it. I may need 600, I may need 1,000, I don't know, but I always like to start and see how much I need to get through the pits, to get through the oxidation. Now it says on the can it's not for electroplated surfaces, but you know what? I have a feeling, well, we'll try it anyway. Now what should happen here automatically is as we build up some of this polish on the buffing ball, and we haven't done that yet, it's still a virgin, to me, a virgin buffing ball. What happens as you build up polish, it seems to get better and better. That's just my opinion, but we still have a relatively new buffing ball.
Now there'll be a giant difference on the part that's prepped and the part that you don't prep. Now that's a good thing that happened, because I'm trying to pay attention here. You don't want to get close to the edge with this edge because it's going to catch. You want to buff off the edge, almost like going off a diving board. You can do that all day long, but if you go this way, it's going to catch. So it's or be just reverse it, or reverse the drill and hold on. So that's a good tip if you're learning how to buff. And I can see the buffing ball is starting to pick up some aluminum. And this is a piece of 2024, so it should, in essence, it should buff up pretty nice. Now, without even going any further, I can see that that's going to be, when it's buffed to its final shine, that's going to be pretty nice. That's pretty cool. Now, this is not an expensive camera. It does not have a good macro lens, but I wanted to show this on a close-up because there's a lot of people would not understand the difference. This is shiny, and so you can see your finger in it, and that's, of course, nice. But it still has those little microscopic pits in the aluminum. Now, these are little moon craters that I want to show how to get rid of those in the next stripe. And what happens is, if you have a part for a motorcycle that you're going to go a show bike or something that it's your personal pride and joy, you're going to want to have it with those pits out. Now, as I said before, we do a lot of polishing in the shop. Various metals, steel, titanium, various things that still need to be polished, bolt heads, whatever. And in each thing, there's a little trick for doing each type of metal. So just to make this a fair test, what I want to do is I want to put this piece of tape over this. I want this to go in sequence, and then I'm going to take a piece, and this really is rough stuff here. And what I'm going to do is start with 600 grit paper, go to 1,000 to 1,500, and then step by step until I can get all the pits out. Now, what this is meant to show is that to really prep aluminum, if you picture this in your mind, if there's a little scratch or a moon crater or something in there, you've got to flatten the surface first. The 600 paper will flatten it a little bit quicker than the 2500. However, you could sand if you're very patient and time is not of the essence. And when I've given little seminars on how to polish aluminum or how to polish steel, I always try to include the trick of you have to start with the smoothest grit that'll get rid of the pits. In other words, you don't want to start with 180 or 60 or you're going to be sanding until you're my age. So what happens is, in my case, what I do, I start with 2500 and I see that isn't good enough and I'll go backwards. I go backward through the grits until I find what's going to take out the pits. Now what's probably going to take this is 600. And I notice it's time consuming to watch and boring, but when you're done watching this, you should end with the Flitz. And by the way, the Flitz shows a lot of promise. I almost guarantee that'll wind up in my laundry basket over there. Now, and I like to show this, it takes a little longer, but I like to show it without big camera cuts. Okay, so what that does, I don't know if we're down through all the pits because the pits don't really show up until you polish it a little bit. But what I'll do now, I'll take the old 2500, and what that's going to do, this is the 2500. Let's get this all without a camera cut, because my friends and my people that follow my channel, Windy Space U, when you follow that channel, the basic reason for following it is you pick up some good information and that maybe you can use in your projects. And even if they're not, hey, even if you don't have a motorcycle, you can polish your car, your mag wheels, your wife's silver. In fact, this is funny, as I was making this video, my wife Karen, brought me down some tarnished silver to see. She says, try that Flitz on my silver. We will at the end of the video. Because to be honest, I hate polishing the silver. I always think of Downton Abbey, and I'm not the guy in Downton Abbey that polishes the silver. Kind of a macho thing, I guess. Anyway, let's look at this now. We've done some 600. I can still see there's one scratch left in there, but it's got that certain luster and look. Now we're ready to get out the Flitz. Now I wanted to mention something that may be significant to some people. That the new Flitz ball, when I first used it and it had no polish on it, the first couple of times you use it, it does send out some lint, some dust. I noticed that, and because my wife has severe allergy issues, what I try to do is minimize that. So I thought one of the ways around that is do the first time you use this ball, use it outside, polish the bumper on your car or something. Once it builds up this layer of polish, you're done. It won't shed from that point on, hopefully. So this stripe will be prepped as if I was prepping a part for my own motorcycle. In fact, maybe I'd even spend a little more time than this because I know this is not on a final part, but I know what's going to happen from my own experience. Once this wheel builds up a good layer of polish, it's going to get better and better and better. The longer you use it, the better it's going to be. But again, I'm not contaminating it with any other product. When you see the wheel getting black, what that's doing, it's picking up aluminum. It's cutting. And because this is a low abrasion, you're taking material off very slowly and predictably. An example would be if you used 80 grit paper, yeah, it would take a lot of material off. The finer you make the grit, it takes longer to do it, but the polish itself comes out nicely. Just a couple of gut impressions on a 1/4 inch drill, a cheap drill. It's very easy on your hands. A bigger drill, heavier drill. You could use a battery powered drill. I just prefer always having a corded drill. All aluminum that's corroded. Just a rough polish, which is what they did on the Flitz videos to a pontoon boat or whatever. And they have metal prep that takes some of this off. I don't have any yet. We'll check that out in the future. Then just a rough 2500 grit sanding, and then what I think is the final, a little bit nicer shine. Fewer pits. I could have sanded that a little bit longer, but I think anybody that wants to do this is really a no-brainer, and I've shown it without camera cuts. No reason you can't do this on your first shot. Now again, with the macro lens, I wanted to show up close as good as this macro lens might or might not be. Again, this is a very inexpensive camera. What we started with, and a lot of people would be very happy to have their pontoon boat or truck tires look like that. A lot of people would be very happy with that shine. And a lot of people would be willing to spend the extra time to really bring it up nice. And there's actually a level past this. And I'm not going to get into that now. There's a level where, and next time I do, and I have my ongoing series of projects on my video channel, next time I have a part that I need to polish, I'm going to do this whole method and show it on video and show the next level of this. The next level would be from this. I'm assuming we can even make this even a little bit nicer, a little bit shinier, but we'll leave that for a future video. And just so I don't sound like I'm too mysterious, what I have found is I have a fur wheel that's really just fur that'll polish this. For my own personal parts, it takes an incredible amount of time to polish, but it leaves a really nice surface. But I'm thinking right now that I may not even need that in the future, because the more I look at this, the more I think, well, we've learned a lot in the last hour or so. There's the 4 steps of basic polishing right there. Now my intention with this video was just to do metal, but I had this little piece, a little bracket for the motorcycle, and this is not paint. This is carbon fiber. This is resin. This is the same resin I made the R1 exhaust system out of, high temperature resin. But the problem is, as I ran it on the Flitz polish, I see it's got thousands of little pin drops on it, pinholes which come from the carbon fiber. What I would have to do if I wanted to polish this up like a mirror, I would have to sand through all, let me see, I'm not sure you can even see them, but any carbon fiber part, it has to be sanded flat, and preferably with the 2500. And when we do the paint part of this, I'll try to show how I could bring this part up. I'd like to keep this part of the video just for metal. Now this is a chrome plated part that I had taken, I got a lot of the rust off previously. This is part of what's on my channel as the Evil Twin project. This is a basically 35-year-old motorcycle part that was rusted pretty well. And it's not supposed to be for certain things like anodized aluminum if I'm reading the directions right. But I did want to see, and we have nothing to lose, because I've got a pipe that's just like this one. I've got something to compare it to, and it'll give me a little chance to just see if this is going to have any possibility. Now, one thing I did notice, this buffing ball is very, very user-friendly. Boy, it is really friendly. I can picture in the riding season sitting out in the garage with this buffing ball and enjoying some buffing time. Now, without even the slightest hesitation, I can definitely see that this is much nicer than this one. This would take time to do it, and there's no point doing this forever and making a video 2 hours long. But if I spent 10 minutes on this pipe and 10 minutes on this, didn't spend 10 minutes on this one, you definitely will see the difference. But since these parts are going into my spare parts bin, I'd rather spend the time showing some other uses for this product, and I've been very, very happy so far. Number one, this is really easy to use, and I can picture when I go to do the paint part of this, this is very user-friendly. Some of these tools that I use are not really user-friendly. This one is. Now I'm curious, and I won't know the answer to this, because this polish, and I did both pipes just for fun, and it leaves such a smooth finish. It's really nice. And it says it leaves a coating of beeswax that lasts for 6 months. But here's the issue. I don't know if on an exhaust system or a part that gets incredibly hot, it's going to last that long. Well, we're going to find out very soon. But again, in my ongoing videos that there's certain people seem to enjoy. So we'll try to pass on any information we have. And a lot of people send ideas in to me, and I hope they enjoy the videos that I make. Now, it says you can use this on chrome, of course. But again, what happens is whenever I test any new product for myself, I try it on everything. Because a lot of times, it works better on some things than others. And I can't wait to do the paint. Of course, I'm just going to run out of time here. But what's going to happen is we're going to find more and more uses for this, because it really is a useful product. And what's going to happen, keep in mind, as the more you use this pad and build up that layer of polish, it's going to cut even better. Now, another thing nice about the pad that I found, I have some of these pads that have a big bolt right in the middle. And what happens if you can catch that bolt or scratch, or back here, it has this little, I call it a diaper. In fact, it just went up. It's supposed to cover that, and it's got a little Velcro. Shows you how smart I am. Anyway, and that protects it so you don't touch that. But anyway, now for me, the test on doing a part like this that's already chromed, in theory it's already been polished, is I like to get a microfiber, clean off as much polish as I can, and now with my bare hand, see if I can feel where it's been polished. Oh yeah, where it's been polished, it leaves that smooth feeling. Now, not like, I don't know what that buys you, but if you're doing something on your own project that you want that really beautiful, smooth feeling, well, I would say that's a good choice. It really seems to work pretty good on chrome. Again, just because we're spending some time doing some little experiments, these parts have already been rough polished. When I say rough polish, it means they've been polished with the stuff you can buy in AutoZone, just commercial polishes that seem to work for everybody, but when you're looking for that extra little bit, and again, I won't know until I use this. What makes this special to me is that this tool is so easy to use. Now, I don't know, to be honest, another thing, I don't know if this tool is going to be, buy another one. They make them with, there's a blue one and an orange one. I'm going to invest in some more of these because I want to try this with wax and with other possibilities. But Flitz has all these videos that they make that, of course, you know, they're worth watching if you're interested in doing what I'm doing right now. Now the test is, and this is the test. I would say that not many people would do this, maybe even I wouldn't do it. The feel, oh, you definitely can feel the difference. So now what it means for me is I have to polish all four of them. And what I wanted to see is how convenient this is going to be when you're actually polishing a part that's on a motorcycle. Let's see if I can see my face in it. That's pretty good. Now as I'm working around polishing other parts of the engine, and what's amazing is how, again, how that ball gets in there. It will catch if you catch it on the downhill side, but boy, it gives you a lot of choices in polishing. I can't wait to try this on a car. Can't do it today because it's raining out, but I'm going to try polishing up parts of the car. This is a piece of gold anodized aluminum, and I'm not sure this is going to have much effect on this because the anodizing is very hard, but I don't know. The only way we're going to know is if we try it. And I want to be real careful. See, I wouldn't want to have it that the pad is going to come down and catch that edge. I want to buff in this direction. Now, surprise of surprises. This is, yeah, I'm even impressed with this. Let's get a microfiber here. That's amazing. It polished up anodizing. Now, to me, that is impressive. I don't know if you can see this. We don't have good lighting here in this part of the shop. This is where we do all the dirty work, but that's amazing. Now, if you can see the side that's the normal anodizing, and again, done with no camera cuts. No, there's always a little bit of truth in advertising in my videos, hopefully. Now, this is untouched aluminum. This is actually a part we used to manufacture for model planes, a landing gear. Again, I'm trying to do this several different ways. This way would have a, by the way, if you put too much polish on, that's probably a good way to do it. I was amazed at how it brought up that motorcycle, the Suzuki side cover. Wow, that was amazing. But the best part of this whole thing is, the absolute best part of it is this pad. And this pad is amazing. It's actually made me wish I had time to do some paint, working with some paint surfaces. Because believe me, doing paint is not as easy as you think. Paint is not all the same hardness, different age paint, different types of paint. Well boy, if you didn't, now you saw that in real life, no camera cuts. So, and that was an unprepared part of aluminum that, here's the side I didn't prepare. Just be totally fair and done without camera cuts, which is always the key thing. Truth in advertising. Now here's something I know everybody that has, my wife collects old silverware, and you'd be interested in seeing how this would buff up or clean up. By the way, there are all kind of silver polishes that work at, and we've tried many of them. And without mentioning any names, again, I'm not trying to make a comparison. And I'm just trying to get something that, the whole idea of all the stuff we put on YouTube is to share information. And it's free, and if you don't like it, everybody I know that has a computer has a delete button or an unsubscribe button or a whatever button, or a belly button, who knows. Let's see. The only way you know, no camera cuts. Show it in real life. Again, if the wheel were turning this way, I'd catch an edge. All of the edges are going downhill. So now I get a sinking feeling my wife's going to start collecting more silverware. But as many times as I've said it, a lot of the magic that's happening is because it is ball. I don't think you could do this by hand and get this result. And we are going to have a very interesting video very soon on dealing with paint. Because I know a lot of the stuff with dealing with paint is black magic, and the people that know it don't really share it as friendly as you think they do. Hey, now I just looking at that, and we don't. I could see my face now. Look at that handsome devil. Look at that. Here's one side, and you saw it. You saw it in real life. Not even some kind of tricky Photoshop thing. That is pretty impressive. Now, I know many of you might have thought I was kidding about having a laundry basket full of polishing. This is one of my passions, is having nice, clean, polished surfaces. We do a lot of work in the shop. We try to share what we learn. And we do a lot of painting too, if anybody might be interested in painting. So every day that I spend in the shop, and I've been in business many, many years with my machine shop, among other things, we've learned a lot about the world of polishing. Even when I was active in the machine shop, this is now added to our, what I say, added to the laundry basket. And for anybody, I hope you've enjoyed this video, learned something. This is a product we're going to use more and more of in the future. I know they have some other stuff, and I have to look again at the videos that Flitz puts out. Of course, it's flitz.com. And I'm curious if that beeswax is going to melt on an exhaust system, among other things. But as we learn things, I'll be sure to share them. So again, thanks for watching. And thanks to all the people that share information on YouTube. And this product, and especially that orange pad, has me thinking. This is really some good stuff. Hey again, and thanks for flitzing. Thanks for watching.
Now, if you're new to our channel, we have a very, very eclectic channel. One of the new features we have now is some of the videos are grouped into groups that you can access all the videos for one category in one mouse click. And it should be very convenient and very handy. Just check out the feature on the main screen playlist. And thanks to everybody for supporting the channel. We appreciate your support, and it makes this channel possible with all the things we do, the painting, the wheels, the polishing. And please take a second or two and hit the like button. And thanks everyone for watching.